we're going to make Andy move, and I'm going to try to show you two ways to do that. The first is to use a for next loop, and the second is a timer. So if we run this program, we've seen it a few times now already. I am going to click move, and Andy moves across the screen to about 2000. So you can see that we now have Andy moving to a fixed position on the screen about 2000 units from the left. I'm going to modify this code, so not only does Andy go to this fixed position, I'm going to reuse the code that we have. I'm going to make Andy go up and then across to the left, finally down to the bottom left corner. I'm going to use a mixture of hard coding, which is using this number, and soft code and using the values scale width and scale height, which allow you to resize your form and have it behave predictably. Let's make the change so that it now moves up. Simplest way to do, just copy the existing code, place it in there. And we're not modifying an X value, we're modifying a Y value. And since we're not modifying X, we don't have to modify the X that is here. And we will need to change the Y value for Andy. So Andy knows his current X coordinate. What is Andy's current X coordinate? imgAndy dot left. So that's his current X coordinate. Now we need to take of our for statement. We need to make sure we're starting at the right spot and we're finishing at the right spot. In this case, we would be going from the top to 2000. So let's take a look at how this and see how this plays out. So first, oops, variable not defined. I have two errors here, so dim y as single. And then the second error is I neglected to change next. Now let's try it. First Andy goes across, and then notice how Andy came down. So again, across, coming down, which is opposite of what I want to have happen. I want him to go up. So we need to switch these two values. And we don't want to have 2000 to be our starting point. We want Andy's current coordinate to be the starting point. So we're going to go from imgAndy dot his y coordinate, top, all the way up to 0. And let's see how this works. Any predictions? Why won't it work? Yes. So the problem is step negative. If I didn't do that, I would be trying to count up by using positive numbers. Sorry, I would be trying to count to a negative value using positive numbers, which is not possible. So Andy goes to the right, and then Andy goes up. Next, I want Andy to go left and down. I can copy this, and I am going to copy this and modify it again because it's a little more flexible. But I do need to remember to change X and X, and I am going to go from Andy's current X coordinate, which is not top, but left, and I am going to go to 0, and I'm still going to count down with a negative number. I'm not changing the Y value, so I don't need that. And I need to pick my X. I need to use the X in my for next loop so that I move it. And every time you make a change to your program, test the change. That way you figure out very quickly if it works. And if you make a mistake, you also are able to isolate the mistake. So as we are watching this, we see him move right, up, and left, and it works. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't have to deal with his height yet. Height is only an issue, and width is only an issue when Andy is at the right-hand side or the bottom of the form. That's the only time height is an issue. Because when we start drawing Andy, we start drawing him from the top left. So it's okay if we are on the left side of the screen, and we also are drawing down, so it's okay if we're at the top of the screen, or form in this case. We need our last item, so we'll copy the Y routine. For Y is, we need to switch these. We're going from 0, but we're not going to imgAndy top. We're going to go to the bottom of the form. So we're going to go to the very bottom of the form, which is form1.scale height. And remember, we're counting up this time. We're okay with Andy's current left position. So let's try it. Andy moves to the right, up, left, and back down. Hey, Andy disappeared off the screen. And we had another problem. So this is indeed where we need to subtract Andy's height from the scale height. And you saw how there was the freeze at the end? We actually need to adjust our code a little bit for the freeze. We need do events in this last loop because it seems that Visual Basic is starting to think that the program has crashed. This is, sorry?
When Visual Basic thinks it's going to crash, put do events to prevent it from doing that, but then how does it feel like it's going to crash?
So do events is basically a signal to Visual Basic that yes, the program is still running, everything is fine, you do some house cleaning stuff, leave me alone. And it takes a little while for do events to happen, which is why we have to modify the step so that it doesn't take excruciatingly long. So let's take a look. And it goes down, and you can see how it stops at the bottom, and it still managed to make its way down. I'll take do events out, and I'll add in, how about, oh no, I'll leave do events in there. I'll just make this excruciatingly long, this first one, and I'll try to show you how to deal with a crash. So let's deal with a crash. Andy is going to take forever and ever and always to go across, and Visual Basic in a moment, right now, thinks that the program has crashed. So what many of you are starting to do at this point is you click on the red X, and that closes the program. Only problem is, sometimes you close all of Visual Basic. You lose all your work. Don't do that. Instead, on your keyboard, there's Control key, CTRL, bottom left, and at the same time, you can type break. Not the word B-R-E-A-K, but there's a special key on your keyboard that is break. It's in the top right of your keyboard. So Control key, and now I will look for the pause break key, Control break. And notice how I was able to break out of my loop, and I have regained control over the program, and I can click end, and I've got my program back. No problems at all. So let's make sure that it doesn't crash again. Yeah, that was it. So Andy moves to the right, stops at 2000, moves up, and completes his loop. Yes. Okay, that would be bring to front. See how I right-clicked on him? So let's see if this worked. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I have a feeling that he won't be able to go in front of buttons.
What if you put the button more back?
Well, we can try that, but my gut says that let's try down, send to back, and let's see. No, the image will not be able to come in front of the buttons.
Because that's how this is.
Yeah, yeah. So for whatever reason, that's not an option. One last thing to change. Let's make this program flexible. So instead of starting at 0, let's start for imgAndy dot left, his current x position, and let's go to form1 dot scale width, and let's actually make sure that imgAndy stays on the screen. So he moves from his current position, goes up to the left and down. This is now an extremely flexible program because I can now modify the program, place Andy wherever I want,
Move them with WASD.
and I could move him with WASD. So yeah, I can move him with WASD, and then I can click my move, and it still works beautifully. You'll note, yeah, that's a Visual Basic nearly thought it had crashed. So you probably need a few more do events in there. All right, one more thing I'd like to show you. I have added some forms to this program. So you see here form 2, I created a second form. What you do is you go to your project menu, add a form. I know you haven't done this yet, but you can add a second form and start using it. You're used to using message boxes and input boxes. You can also use forms. So we click add a form and it creates a second form. In this case, I just put a label on there that says hi. I've got a button here that I created and I will give it some code. In the code, I'm going to tell form 2, I want you to load yourself. So form 2, show yourself, and we'll run about. Notice how it shows up. We've got a new form, we can close it. And notice how I can click back and forth. I can even make it so that you can't click back and forth. I can show modal, VB, modal, and now if you could hear the sound, it goes bling bling because I cannot click outside of this form. And you'll notice how the title bar here is flickering, telling you you can't do anything with the rest of the program until you close it. So now you've seen two things. There's a third way of controlling the image, and it's through timers. If you're interested, I'll show you timers individually, but I don't think you need to see them as a class.